Hello, everyone. I'm Megan Graham, and I just wanted to come on today for a few minutes to chat a little bit. Some of you may know, so by the way, I am a LifeWave brand partner. I have been using the patches for over 2 years. I also have a cat that, as if on cue, meows a lot whenever I come on to YouTube. But I wanted to come on. I got some questions on my YouTube, and some of you may know that I had a very, very sick 13-year-old Yorkie. Her name is Lola. Her name was Lola, and she was sick for about 10 months. And I've been using, she just, I hate to say it, but she just passed the other day, and I seem to be able to sometimes not cry about it and talk about it. But what I wanted to talk about is that she was using the patches, and I would get people in the questions, and I think I would be talking about Lola, and they'd say, well, Lola's using the patches and she's still sick, so I guess they're not working, right? And I think that's a really important thing for us to talk about. And first of all, LifeWave does not recommend that you use patches on animals, but I do use them on my animals all the time. This is Alfie, Lola's brother. Tanya, thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate it. I miss her. Every single thing that I did during my day was to take care of Lola. So I'm reminded of her absence all the time. And I was very honored to take care of her. It was a lot of care, but I was honored. So, a lot of people, this is important for people and pets, even though I'm not recommending you use them on your pets, but I use them on mine. A lot of people said, well, I guess the patches aren't working because Lola's still sick. Lola had a pretty complex autoimmune disease called GME, which actually brain and melts their brain. So as their brain melts, there lots of different things stop working. They have trouble walking. There's just all kinds of different issues. And so not only was she patched, but she also saw a traditional neurologist and a holistic and conventional vet. But this is what I really want, and I want everyone to understand this with the patches. I know LifeWave says it as a disclaimer, and I know that they're very clear about what the patches are for, but I help people. That is my job. I help people all the time with the patches, people that are signed up with me or people that are looking to sign up with me, and then sometimes information for other folks on here too. But the biggest question, people will often come to me and they'll say, I have this disease, I have this condition, I got this test. And it really is important to know that that's not what the patches are for. They're not to treat your diseases. They're not a guarantee that things are going to go away. They're, and I think I need to say that more than once because it is so frequently that I hear from people that they want, they'll contact me and say, I have cancer. What patch should I use for that? There is not a patch for cancer. There is not a patch to treat or cure disease. The way that I look at it is, first of all, what are diseases? They're a collection of symptoms. It's not one thing. So Lola had a lot of different symptoms. And even in issues that I've had a lot of symptoms. So I didn't use the patches for Lola. I didn't really think I could cure that disease. And I definitely didn't think that by using, and I'll talk about some of the patches that I did use for Lola and a little bit about why I used them. So I used X39 many times with Lola. I used fresh patches. I didn't use used patches. And I stuck them on her fur or I stuck them on her harness. I didn't use this because I thought that I could make her disease go away. I really didn't. I wished I could. If there was a patch that would have made her disease go away, I would have paid $2,000 a month. I would have paid, I mean, I don't even have that much. I would have found a way to pay whatever amount for that patch. But there wasn't a patch for that. So here's what I used the patches for. I used the patches. I feel, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not making claims about LifeWave or speaking for LifeWave or giving medical advice, but excuse the extremely loud motor by my apartment. I used this to fortify her body. I used this to help to support her mitochondrial function, to the Hallmark patch. So I put this on Lola in hopes that, yes, it might help with some of her symptoms. I didn't think it was going to cure her, but when she got sick, which was 10 months ago, the disease that she had usually dogs have a few weeks to live, and Lola lived for 10 months. And was it a perfect 10 months? No, it was not. But we got a really good 10 months together. And so for me, I think she got a better quality of life because I was using this. I things really start, everything will fix. We can all hope for that. But I didn't ever expect that when she was diagnosed with that disease, and when I found her unable to move in a puddle on the floor, and she was going to the bathroom on the floor, I did not think she was going to live. Really didn't. But I said, you know what? I am plucky, I am tenacious, and I'm going to do everything that I can for my dog. So yes, I used the X39 on her, and not as a cure, not as a treatment. I did get some nice feedback from her neurologist that she was doing better than expected, that she had more energy, her head tilt was improved. So I don't look at these as a failure. I mean, I wish she had lived. I wanted her to. Of course, who wouldn't want their best friend who's a 4-pound teacup Yorkie to live forever, or at least to live till 15? But in my mind, and this is just what I don't think she would have lived past 2 months if I hadn't done quite a few holistic interventions, patches and otherwise. But I'm not saying that they cured her disease, right? They didn't. She still died, you guys. And I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm not trying to be a downer. I just think it's so important for all of us to know that we can't always fix everything. At times, I'll have people come on and, especially because I am a LifeWave brand partner. And by the way, look below the video for the quiz that I have. I have a quiz for new people to take that will send you the patches I recommend. And if you reply back, I actually get the emails. So you can reply to the email. I see that. It has my cell number, etc. So that's what I do. So sometimes I get a little bit of flack and people write and they'll say, I knew someone and she stopped her treatments for whatever she was doing and she just did patches. I don't recommend that. These are not all I do for me, and they're not all I do for my family. They're a huge part of it. I think they work really, really well, but I still suggest, first of all, that you listen to your healthcare provider and not me, just a person on YouTube who knows things, but I don't know you personally. You have to do other things, not just patches. So no, the patches didn't fail. They did a lot. So talk about some of the things that I used for her at different times. I use, and this is just what I decided to use. Towards the end of Lola's life, I noticed that her bones were extremely fragile. And she was a tiny Yorkie, and when I would pick her up, I could literally feel give in her bones. I knew her bones were super, super weak, and we talked with her holistic about what to do. I'm not saying this patch is for that, but I did choose to use the X39 patch at that time. So she started wearing this patch along with the X39 patch. And yes, I think it was helpful. I liked it. Another patch that I used very, very frequently, and I always have to be so careful. You have to be so careful about using patches. But generally speaking, I want to support the brain, right? Think how many things happen, how many symptoms happen that have to do with the brain where we know we need support. So with Lola, I knew her little legs didn't work properly anymore. Sometimes they would go forward or out instead of down when she was trying to walk. And I could really see that she was upset because I know in her brain she thought she was doing one thing and the communication wasn't working well. So there's a lot of different brain things happening, and I'm not naming any conditions, but when I felt Lola needed support for her brain, and that was I used it a few times a week. I put carnosine onto Lola. I'll be honest, Lola wears more patches a day, or when she was still living, she wore more patches a day than I did. And Lonnie, thank you so much. I'm glad that you like this. That makes me really happy. I really like to share, and I like to talk about things that are going on right now. Watches me knows my pets. I'm about to turn 50. July 4th is my birthday. I really wish it wasn't next week because my dog just died and I don't want to have a birthday right now. But My pets are like my children. I love them so much. And so I would have done absolutely anything for her. So she was wearing a lot of patches. And the carnosine patch, carnosine's a really interesting patch. I always say, if in doubt, try carnosine. You would be really surprised if you actually look. You can look, and obviously it doesn't correspond to this, but if you look at carnosine in that body and you just ask questions on Google for, is carnosine helpful for this, is like, just plug in almost anything you're thinking on Google and just ask, is carnosine helpful for this? You would be so surprised to see how helpful carnosine is in your daily life. And of course, we can't say that much, right? You can't make big claims for this patch, but anytime one of my dogs have needed extra support for their liver, for their kidneys, for their inflammation, for their brains, carnosine has been a big one that I reach for. Now, I didn't do every one of these patches every single day. I usually did them a few days a week. X39 did it 5 days a week on Lola. And you know what? Sometimes if I found that I was running a little bit low on X39 and I had forgotten to order it enough, I just didn't wear it myself and I put it on my dog that she needed, and I would wait until fresh. I just forget to order sometimes. My husband wears them. We have them on. Our little dog sitting next to me is having trachea issues. I have been sticking right on his trachea. So we burn through these pretty quickly, and I literally put them on my animals sometimes for myself if I'm running out. So we did this about 5 days a week. This is a patch. Her disease that she got is most likely due to, how do I say it? Too many bad things in her body. So she needed to help detoxify her body. So I did use this patch on her, and I'm not saying that's what it did. That's why I used it. So when I take like glutathione as a supplement, I'm not saying as the patch, as a supplement, glutathione is your body's natural master antioxidant. It's really important for detoxification. And there are various reasons why we don't produce as much of it as we eat, right? We produce it in our bodies naturally, but let's say you take Tylenol constantly. Tylenol actually blunts and lowers your body's glutathione stores. So I use glutathione because I got sick from having different levels of toxic substances in my body, from mold exposures, from chemicals and hair color that I worked with for years. And I also used this on Lola about once a week. And I thought that was really important because Lola had autoimmune issues. And I know everybody always says, oh my, I don't know where autoimmune issues are coming from. I think that if we look around in our environment, that our environment and the amount of chemicals and different exposures that we're getting all the time are obviously creating a burden on our body. And if bodies collect those, eventually our body may not know that something in our body actually belongs to our body, and it starts to attack itself. In my case, it was high levels of different plastics and different chemicals from working with hair color for years. Didn't really think about the fact that it could collect in my body. So I did my best to take anything out of her body that I could so that she had a fighting chance to live a little bit longer. I really never used silent nights on her. That wasn't, she slept like a little baby all the time, so I didn't really have to worry about that. I will say I used Eon on Lola almost all the time. And Eon, if you don't know the story about Eon, I don't have the package, but Eon is an amazing patch. And Eon was actually developed because Suzanne Summers, I'm sure everyone knows her, Suzanne Summers wanted the Eon patch to be made by David. She wanted something to help address inflammation and to address stress. Why would she want that? Because inflammation and stress are drivers of disease, drivers of symptoms. And oftentimes, what I've noticed with clients is instead of using LifeWave, if they are in extreme comfort, a lot of times I just have them use Eon. Eon can make a significant difference in how they're feeling. So Lola, at least 3 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week, was wearing Eon. Because most issues in the body happened because of inflammation. So what did I want to do? I wanted to support her body in healthy levels of inflammation. Yes, I really do think it did. Again, I wish that it would have made her live for 2 more years. I thought 10 months, but I never expected my wildest dreams when Lola was sick. I truly did not expect that I would get 10 months more with my best friend. So I just try to be really grateful for that, even though, yes, I am still crying during the day because I miss my little baby. But now this is an interesting one. So Energy Enhancer is the original patch that was made for Navy SEALs. This patch was made for Navy SEALs to help them stay awake for longer without stimulants. And the interesting thing is this is really helping with our ATP and mitochondrial. It's supporting it. Let's just say I won't make any claims. It's supporting various things that help your body to function. The reason that people, I can't say what happens for many people, but for many people, it's possible that premature aging and where they suddenly feel so much older, that can be due to mitochondrial function. So things are going wrong. I will say that a big part of Lola's disease was definitely mitochondrial function. I saw it happen at the time as her sister. And there's a lot of different reasons why. I won't get into why we would experience mitochondrial function, but if you think back to 7th grade, it's very, very important. The body is able to produce energy to live. And if that energy isn't producing well anymore, if your mitochondria have a lot of dysfunction, various things start not to work. And you might not know right away. You might just feel tired. You feel like you're aging. I think of it sort of like as your mitochondria start to have dysfunction. It's like, have you ever had an iPhone where the battery is super, you have to turn it onto, I think it's battery saver, and it stops a lot of different things. Let's see. I think it should go back on. It should have sound. Do you hear sound now? So anyway, think of it like an iPhone. Just let me know if you can hear me, guys. Just say yes if you can hear the sound. So our bodies, when our mitochondria starts having dysfunction, think of it like when you're trying to use Power Saver. Please say yes in the chat if you can hear me, just so I might just pause until you guys say yes. Okay, good, great, thank you. So if our mitochondria is not working, things might be turning off in our body and we don't know. We're not aware that they're turning off, but it's a huge problem. So this is something that I actually use quite a bit on Lola. It's a 2-patch set, especially towards the end. I was very aware. So about 5 weeks out, I could just tell she's extremely finicky with food. I was feeding her baby food. She wasn't really getting up when it was time to eat. I had to hand feed her. And when that happens, if you've ever had a beloved companion dog, you know that you don't have a lot of time left and you want to have more time left, but you plan accordingly. I did use this patch quite a bit during that time. She was really patched up. When she would go to see her holistic doctor, she just had so many patches. For the most part, she didn't really wear SP6 and Alavita too frequently, but in her very last days, I did use LifeWave on her. I will say I'm not sure if the LifeWave worked on her, and the reason why is that LifeWave, the placement is extremely important, and you need to know where the center of someone's pain is for LifeWave to work. And truly, I didn't know where the center of her pain was because she couldn't speak to me and she couldn't tell me where it was. So I put several sets of LifeWave on her because the last few days, I was evaluating what should happen, and I didn't want her to be in a lot of pain while that was happening. So I hope that's helpful, just talking about what I did for her. But the most important thing to think about is these patches are great. They're part of your toolbox. I will wear them forever. I will have them around. I will use them on my pets. My husband wears them all the time. But we do need to have realistic expectations. And if someone is selling the patches and saying they're going to cure cancer or diabetes or things like that, I would honestly run from that person because they have no way of knowing. They have no way of knowing that that would happen. That's not the way that they're sold. That's not the way that David Schmidt would ever, and if you don't know who he is the owner of the company. He would not describe the patches that way. He's, as much as you can tell when he speaks about them, he thinks they're amazing, he believes in them. He very much speaks about other things, other interventions, doing the right thing with your health, and being realistic that these are a super important part. And I don't think there's another modality quite like the patches out there, but even the best modalities, for the most part, can't make everything go away. For instance, I follow a really sensational, she's an integrative cancer doctor, and I think she's out in California. I think it's at the Center of New Medicine. Her name is Dr. Keneally, I believe. And it's really interesting to hear about different things that she does for her patients. I have heard that she recommends the patches for some people, but not for cancer, just as part of their general wellness support. Also, that she does a lot of diet things. I've also heard that she doesn't want people using, certain products that have synthetic, and she really wants people to be thoughtful about what they use. I believe she uses ozone. Sometimes she uses traditional things. So she uses a mix of things. What I can tell you is she definitely doesn't have people walk into her clinic and say, put on a patch and just do that and hope that everything will be good. So I just try to be super realistic. And I know I feel like it disappoints people sometimes because people love the razzle dazzle. They love somebody that will say, just put this on and it's going to be amazing. Solve all problems. It will be the easiest thing. It makes a significant difference. It really does. I am not saying that they are not amazing, but I want people to have the best results. And what the best results mean, it means doing so much for yourself. Like for Lola had amazing supplements made from organs. She got ozone treatments at the vet. She got fluids. She saw a neurologist. I brought her onto my rebounder so I could get her lymphatic system going. I always made sure to get her to get a little bit of exercise. She had and she was on steroids too. And for a time she did chemo. So it really wasn't just, oh, Darlene, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. But it's different things. And so where people can get into trouble is if they think it's going to be just patching. Nothing is just patching. And you can do that, but I think you'll be disappointed, and it's not what I would ever tell you to do. And I truly think that anybody that wants the best for you would say your health and wellness depends on a lot of things. And even if you do, and I'm not trying to be negative, I mean, it's important that we do everything that we can. I think Lola had a certain lifespan. She was always a little bit more fragile. I've had her since she was 4 months old, and I treated her super well, home cooked food and air filters and filtered water and really good things. But sometimes we all have a certain lifespan. That's how it is. So I don't look at it that as the patch for me definitely worked for Lola, but it doesn't mean that it could erase the fact that she had a disease. It just, for me, in my opinion, they helped her to live better with the issues that she had and just have a better quality of life for that last 10 months and perhaps get a 10 months that she wouldn't have had. So if anybody wants to jump in too, feel free if you like asking any questions about the patches, but I love to speak about them from a realistic perspective. And do I get wowed when I speak to clients sometimes and they've maybe each month they feel a little bit more subtly, or they notice if they fill out my symptoms tracker, they notice that maybe some things are kind of dropping away and some things are getting better. But I can't say that I get, calls from people that say, oh, I had this and it's like as in the disease and it's gone. No, I hear people saying that their quality of life and the time and their daily life is improving and getting better. And in my opinion, the time, and this is, I know I will never convince people that don't have a problem to really care for themselves. But as someone that has really had serious health issues, I wish for everyone that they would take care of their health before they felt like they needed to. Before there was a crisis, before things were falling apart with their bodies and they had, like for Lola, by the time it got to knowing that there was something wrong with Lola, it was her kidneys, it was her pancreatitis, she had a stroke, she had GME. There were a lot of different things that were wrong with her. And so if you are well, don't be shy about taking care of your health and being proactive. And a very easy thing that I think anybody can do is to wear the X39. And I will just say some of the objections that I hear, people are like, it's so expensive. It's not inexpensive. I buy the patches too. No one's gifting me my patches. I buy everything with my own money. They're not cheap, but they do so much. And I would though rather do everything that I can to fortify my body, because once things start going really wrong, it's really hard to pick up the pieces. So wearing them early is great. And just giving it a chance to work. So hope this was helpful to you guys. If you are looking to work with someone as your brand partner, feel free to take my quiz. There is a quiz below. And if you are new to LifeWave, if you haven't used LifeWave, take the quiz and I can definitely send you recommendations. But I'm always going to give you real talk. I just don't believe in hyping things and saying this is just a way to do it. I do get great calls, great texts of people reporting what happens to them all the time. But truthfully, I can never predict what is that going to be. I know that most of my clients, generally speaking, I think they're using the patches for 4 to 6 weeks before they're really noticing changes. And I think everybody expects to put these on for a week or days and everything should be different. So be patient if you're using them, take care of your body in other ways, and just do your best with everything that you can, because you only get one body and taking the best care of it is so important. So I hope everybody has a beautiful day. Sorry, I'm not smiling as I usually am, but just wanted to come on here and just talk a little bit about Lola. And I'm very grateful that I had the patches for her. She was a very good girl when I would stick them right on her fur. And she was just such a good girl, even when I peeled them off her fur at night. So stay healthy and stay beautiful. And thank you so much for joining me, everyone. And have a great day. Bye.